So I won't waste your time with we had a great day, everybody's excited, coaches are fired up, and so on and so forth. We'll get to your questions, that way everybody can get answered.
Mike, with so many new guys, we talked about this in spring, but now we're at the preseason camps, a little bit different level of focus. Is there kind of a mix of both excitement and uncertainty because you don't necessarily know what you've got in some of these guys?
More excitement than uncertainty. Today I was much better with knowing I only had to ask twice who somebody was, remember, so that was a good day for me. I feel much better about that side of it. The excitement is greater than the uncertainty. Just seeing what the guys we had in the weight room in the summer and the off season, and our gains and strength levels are in the top 3 of all time since I've been a head coach here. So that showed a real strong commitment from our team to me, in my opinion.
How was the energy level for day one? Was it where you were hoping it would be?
Yeah, it was good. It's it's interesting. Day one, everybody's excited, but they haven't been out here with helmets on and with the natural human reaction to heat. So it'll get better every day, but we had a good day. We're not in pads, so that's kind of a downer. So I think with maturity, you start to understand what you're going to get each day, and I'm happy with what we got today for the team.
Mike, you lost a lot of good players, but you brought in a lot of players. We'll see what kind of players they are, but what kind of, when you look at just raw talent, what's the talent level of the new guys?
I think that, the age of the portal, I think this is the future, right? Some go out, some come in. You would like to minimize that, but I'm not sure that's going to happen anymore. And I think that we went stride for stride. We'll know a lot more in about 3 weeks, and then we'll really know a lot more October 1st. But I feel good about the exchange we made player for player.
Is there a position group or two that you're really excited to see the competition in football camp this year?
Oh, I mean, all of them. I mean, defensively, it's interesting because being in some more odd front than we've ever been in before will be fun to watch. It'll be interesting to watch how our middle player competes. We've got a number of running backs that don't really have much experience. It'll be interesting to watch and see where they're at. And then it'll be interesting to watch how things transform and as we go through the quarterback position.
It seems like those running backs, they all kind of bring something different. Is that good to have variety there?
Well, unfortunately, that's the one position that guys get hurt. They take direct hits from all different angles, very difficult position to play. So you would like to go into the season with 4 of them. If you go in with 3 and then the 4th guy learning on the run, it's okay. But that's the one position you always concern yourself with in the depth.
Is that second scenario kind of 3 with 1 learning on the run? Is that where you feel you're at right now?
I think so.
Is that going to be kind of an important thing, to just monitoring usage, not just games, but here in practice?
Yeah. So, in my opinion, the difficult side of evaluating and getting running backs ready is they really have to run full speed and get hits in order for you to know where you're at. We don't do as much of that now in practice as we did years ago. It used to be live in running backs and team period, and so you knew in a couple weeks who was prepared physically, had the ability to compete on game day. Now we don't take as many direct hits in practice, so unfortunately you learn some in the first 2 or 3 weeks.
Mike, you talked at Big 12 Media Day about improving the run game, getting that more set. I know this is just day one, but how do you feel where you guys are now in that regard, and what do you want to see in the coming weeks and practices?
I think the commitment has to come from our staff and our concepts and schemes, and then in most cases you get good at what you practice and things that you make a priority you improve on. And so I've asked our offensive staff to make it a point to improve in the running game, and I'm fairly confident that'll happen.
You look at some of the Big 12 preseason polls and you guys are a little bit lower. You've had some of your best seasons in the past when maybe people outside the program didn't have the high.
Yeah, so here's the good news about the Big 12. Nobody knows what's going to happen in this league. And I've said this a number of years, is the parity in this conference, and it's even grown more now with the new teams coming in. And so I think our players look at that some. I don't know, I never hear them talk about it. Sometimes I bring things up to them to kind of jab them, and they're unaware of it. It's kind of a downer. I think I can really set them off, and they really, they were probably watching SpongeBob or something instead of actually paying attention to that. But with the Big 12, you just look over the history at 3, 4, 5 years. It's pretty much anybody's game.
Mike, going back to running backs there, I noticed DeAndre Jackson's not on the roster. Is he no longer with the team?
That's correct. Yes.
Kimmer Tay says he always likes to see the first day of practice because he wants to see physically, just physically, how much better the quarterbacks look. Maybe if they've got a little more on the ball, the way they throw it. I'm sure you were looking at that too.
Yeah, they've had good numbers. We had a couple quarterbacks that shot up strength levels from April to last week, and that's what you'll see with quarterbacks that have really done well in the weight room, in all their core and their torso and such. You'll see it out here in practice, and so like the other positions, we had a couple of guys that shot up pretty good in that area.
What's the importance of Kendall Daniels to the defense this year? Has that increased over what you needed maybe from him in the past?
Yeah, for two reasons. One, he's a returning experienced player. Like, he was out there last year, he would make plays, but he was just out there. A freshman that, if we're relying on freshmen to win games, it's not generally going to turn out very good. Now he's a veteran, he gets it, he understands. I can remember playing in the second year after I played as a freshman, and I saw the game much differently. And the position he plays is very important in the style of defense that we'll be in a lot this year.
Again, I know it's early, but what have you seen so far? How do you sort of see him adjusting in the new role?
Well, I watched him today, and he looks aggressive, and he's at a unique spot. He has to be very aggressive, but also defend the field. So he has to study tape. He has to have an understanding and good savvy and concept of the game. And he seems like he's doing well. I kind of watched him today. We know a lot more in a week.
Bowman is obviously a first-year player here in OSU, but all the experience he has just in college football in general, how much does that help him kind of get acclimated to your scheme and your offense?
I should know this, but he's probably like 24 years old or something. And as we all know, in this game, there's a considerable difference between a 24-year-old and a 20-year-old. Just like there is an 18 and 22, just experience. I mentioned this earlier. He spent time at Tech with a coach who's a good offensive coach, and being at Michigan and learning that style. And I'm guessing that they know what they're doing on offense and all those things. Even though he wasn't on the field much, they're going to play a factor in how you are as we move down the line. We're going to have to name that fly, aren't we?
No. Getting friendly.
He's wearing you and I. We must be wearing the same perfume.
With the quarterbacks, you said back in Big 12 Media Days, a couple of weeks before you zero in on somebody. Is that kind of the ideal time to give everybody a chance, but then focus in on
so whether we like it or not, we live in the age of the portal. And in this time, we need to make sure as coaches, more so than ever, that we give everybody quality time to work it out position-wise. Almost caught him. Position-wise, based on their work on the field. And so I have shared with the staff that up through the first 10, 12 days or so of practice, that I want guys working with different groups. I want concepts minimized, and I want to be able, when we name a depth chart, I want to be able to look them all in the eye and say everybody had a fair shot. And I think that's all we can do as coaches for the players, and then I think the players will respect that more so than we have in years past.
Michael Bowman played a lot at Tech for 3 years, went to Michigan, didn't play much in 2 years.
Right.
Does that mean he sort of, his development was stagnated, or was the guy who doesn't play, and at that advanced age, is he still able to get some development, or is it just sort of a reboot?
I think he learned. I'm going to guess that he learned a lot from being in that system. Some of the things that we're doing now are similar to a little bit of what they've done in their past. I see where that has helped him out here. My honest opinion is he won't be as far ahead now as he would have been if he'd have been playing. There is no substitute for live reps. That's just my opinion.
Like, you guys will put the pads on Saturday, I believe. Is that right?
I think Friday.
Friday?
Yeah.
Is there anything you specifically look for in the first couple of days before you start?
I'm excited about it because it's difficult to practice without pads. So we're telling the players to, the guys in the box to go 4 steps and stop. And then when they get in pads, we're telling them to run like hell. So we're just kind of pulling them and pushing them. So I'm excited because it means we get back to real football, and we get a good feel for where everybody's at.
Mike, you got a lot of Big 8 and Big 12 experience to not only get Colorado coming back into this league and growing it, but to have a brand that's been here before. Just kind of your thoughts on that.
I mean, I'm almost like Notre Dame. I've been telling you guys for 18 months what's going to happen. I think I've hit it every time. I'm glad you brought it up. 2 things. I said Oklahoma State would be in great shape no matter what, which has happened. And I said eventually the Big 12 conference will rise and be just fine, which has happened. And I said that conference realignment is not finished yet, and it's not finished now. It's still going to go on. So we're thrilled to have Colorado. I actually need to reach out to Coach Sanders and welcome him to the league. I haven't done that yet. But they fit in the Big 12. They go all the way back. Were they Big 6?
No, they made a Big 7.
They made 7. Okay, I was one off on that, so my Notre Dame still went out the window. So Big 7, right? Big 8,
Yeah.
Big 12, and they're right here. We grab that time zone, but just the tradition of I remember going up there and they would have snow pushed to the side of the field, and when we do our Friday walkthroughs, and it's a good setting. It's a good setting for college football. They have a traditional mascot that's cool. I mean, I used to watch him run out before the games. I mean, one, to make sure I wasn't in his way, because the guys that were holding on, they weren't actually leading him, they were holding on. They couldn't do anything if he went the wrong direction, honestly. But with what's going on now with the alignment, as it finishes up here over the next month, maybe a week, I think that they're bringing some strength back, and I understand what's happened the last X number of years record-wise, but I think that the addition of coach there has generated a lot of excitement, and I think that has an advantage for this league from a marketability across the country. And that's what this comes down to, right? We're trying to market so you can get sales, so you can get ESPN and Fox to pay you money to play on TV.
Notre Dame, would you like to tell us who's coming next?
I mean, you know what I should do? I should write it down and stick it.
Well, we've got some cameras here that keeping track of this for us.
I should write it down and stick it up there, and then when the next group comes, you guys will be excited.
It takes the distinction away from Oklahoma State. Colorado will now, once they come back in, have the tightest sidelines. Theirs are tighter
I forgot about that. That's right. Yeah, then they have that low wall. Yeah. And I think, you guys might know, I think they were selling beer at games way before everybody else.
Yes, correct.
They had a brewing company that was 42 minutes away from their campus. So.
Coors, they called it.
And Golden.
Banquet beer.
No, that's right. Yeah,
Mike,
the gold jackets, the old banquet style. That's real beer.
I'm working on a renovation story for Boone Pickens. Is there anything you remember about first stepping into the stadium, way before it was ever Boone Pickens?
Renovation. What do you mean?
Or just like the off-season changes to the stadium.
In our stadium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talking about Louisville.
Yeah.
When I came here, started watching games in high school, I didn't come to a lot of games here because it was much further than going to Norman. I could get to Norman easier.
Right.
But when I came here, I didn't really pay much attention to it because at that time, when I was playing high school ball in Midwest City, I mean, our locker room was the size of this meeting here and had one toilet and it leaked most of the time. So things like that didn't affect me. Then when I came here, I was playing. I didn't really care, but then when I became a coach and you started recruiting and you started hearing, that's when it became an issue and you started looking around. And with what you see now on the north side, and then they matched the paint really well, the black seats look really good. They've made it a comfort zone for people to want to come to the games and be comfortable, because now that's the trend, right? Luxury seating, people coming to the games, being comfortable, get them to go to concession stands, get them to spend money, all the things that don't matter, that all matter now. And then once they do the north side, we'll have a really beautiful stadium. And so You know, he started it however many years ago, and once this is completed a year from now, it's really going to be a beautiful stadium. I think that the capacity is perfect. I think the seating's going to be good. There's not really a bad seat in the stadium, and we just have a few other things to do over the next year or two, and it'll be a beautiful complex.
Last couple questions, or we're going to lose our players.
You know, Mike,